"Watch your step on the way to the train," my brother sneered, raising his phone like he might record me. My mother's laugh followed, sharp and deliberate. "She's so gullible," she said. "Just wait until she figures it out." My cousin added with a whisper, "Imagine her face when the conductor says her ticket isn't valid." Their words cut into me like acid. What they called a joke felt more like a public sacrifice of my dignity. At the platform, the departure board flickered, coldly canceled. Around me, the crowd rushed by, luggage wheels clattering over the concrete, while I stood still, not stranded by bad luck, but by their cruelty. Hi everyone, my name is Madison. I'm 27. If you've ever wondered what betrayal sounds like, it isn't a stranger's insult. It's your family's laughter echoing in your ears while you're left alone. Tell me, how do you keep loving people who delight in your humiliation? The station air smelled of iron and burnt coffee. Overhead, the lights buzzed faintly, flickering like nerves beneath skin. My hands tightened around my suitcase handle, knuckles whitening. A message buzzed on my phone. "Relax, Maddie. It's Sep's just a prank. Don't be so sensitive. You still figure it out." They pictured me pacing, panicking, maybe even crying. They thought I'd call, beg, plead for a ride home. They thought I'd swallow my humiliation like always. But something inside me shifted. The ache of being their punchline turned into a sharp, steady focus. I'd always been the reliable one, the one who covered their rent when paychecks were late, who paid off medical bills, who said yes every time they needed help. They'd built their safety net from my sacrifices. And now they were laughing as they cut the ropes beneath me. That sting of betrayal melted into clarity. If they thought leaving me stranded was funny, how funny would it be when the money they depended on vanished overnight? I opened my banking app. The glow of the screen lit my face like a spotlight, one I hadn't chosen but was ready to step into. One click could erase years of enabling. "Next train departing in 10 minutes." The announcement echoed. In the glass doors, my reflection looked steadier than I felt. I whispered to myself, almost like a vow, "Tonight, the silence will be mine." The glow of my phone burned brighter than the station lights. My thumb hovered, not from doubt, but from the weight of what came next. Cancel recurring transfers, block account access, freeze shared cards. With each tap, my chest loosened. It was almost poetic. The same device they used to mock me now, delivering their quiet downfall. I pictured my mother, wineglass in hand, smirking as she opened her bank app. My brother scrolling his phone, only to see transaction declined. My cousin's smugness cracking when his rent payment bounced. Their laughter replaced with panic, a silence louder than any words I could ever speak. Final boarding, the announcement cut through. Around me, strangers rushed to catch their trains. I stayed rooted, calm, as though my own departure had already begun, not on rails, but into a life where I no longer carried their weight. Another message came through, this time from my sister. "Bet you set your crying. Want us to pick you up, say sorry first." I laughed under my breath, a sound I hadn't made in weeks. Not bitter, not broken, free. I closed the banking app and slipped my phone into my coat pocket. My suitcase felt lighter, as if years of burden had been packed away with those canceled payments. The doors of the next train hissed open. I stepped inside, found a window seat, and let the city blur past as the train pulled away. The rhythm of the tracks sounded almost like applause, steady, certain, final. For the first time, their home wasn't my responsibility. Their chaos wasn't mine to fix. Their laughter wasn't mine to endure. I leaned my forehead against the cold glass and whispered, "Let's see who gets stranded now." The night swallowed my words, carrying them back to the house where their smiles were about to fade. The train rattled forward, carrying me farther from the station, but my mind stayed tethered to the house I had just cut off. I pictured their living room, the same couch where they lounged, while I worked overtime to keep the lights on. Their laughter, once so sharp, softening now into confusion. I pulled my phone out again, not to undo anything, but to watch the silence bloom. First ping, Mom Maddie, did you forget the bill? The power company says payment failed. Second ping, brother, yo, my card got declined. Did you move money? Send it back. I'm at the store. Third ping, cousin, rent bounced. Not funny, fix it. I stared at the messages, a faint smile forming. No one had asked if I was okay at the station. No one wondered if I made it home safely. The only thing that moved them was money. Tickets, please. The conductor's voice broke through the car. I handed mine over, valid and shining, while theirs had been erased. The irony wasn't set lost on me. I had been the one left at the station, but they were the ones about to be left behind. Another vibration, this time from my sister. Maddie, answer. We can't even order food. Cards keep failing. What's going on? I locked the screen, placed the phone on my lap, and let the train sway gently beneath me. Out the window, city lights stretched into blurred lines, a quiet reminder that movement brings freedom, and freedom has a cost. I thought of every holiday, when my gifts were mocked for not being flashy enough, even though I'd spent my last dollar. Every emergency where they promised to repay me, only for me to watch new gadgets appear in their homes a week later. I remembered the day they called me dramatic for crying in my room while they spent the money I'd wired on takeout. Now, at last, they were going to experience dependence without me holding it together. The phone buzzed again, insistent. I didn't touch it. I only whispered, "Let the silence teach you." By the time the train rolled into the next city, my phone was vibrating non-stop, missed calls stacked like a desperate chorus. Their names filled the screen. Mom, brother, sister, even the cousin who once said, "You stir lucky, we even let you sit at the table." I let it ring. I let their panic build. Silence was my reply. Curiosity pulled me to one voicemail. My brother Sep's voice, usually cocky, cracked with anger. "Maddie, what the hell? My card just got declined at the gas station. Do you know how embarrassing that is? Fix it now." I almost laughed. Embarrassing. As if being stranded at a station wasn't. Another voicemail followed. My mother Sep's voice trembling. "Honey, something's wrong with the bank. The mortgage didn't clear. Please call me back. Don't make this worse." Those words, "please," and "don't make this worse," echoed like a hymn. How many times had I begged them not to hurt me, not to humiliate me? They'd laughed then. Now the roles had reversed. The train doors opened. I stepped into the cool night air of a city where no one knew me and their shadows couldn't reach. The streets smelled of rain. Neon lights reflected across the wet pavement. I walked slowly, savoring my own freedom. Another buzz. A video call from my sister. For a moment I let her face fill my screen. Hair disheveled, eyes wide, panic replacing her usual smugness. "Maddie, stop this. The kids are hungry. The fridge is empty. You can sit just..." I ended the call mid-sentence. My reflection replaced hers in the dark screen. For years, I had been their net. Tonight, I'd cut the ropes. The silence on their end was finally louder than their laughter. I checked into a modest hotel near the station, the kind with humming fluorescent lights and worn carpet. It wasn't luxury, but it was mine. No one could mock me here. No one could demand rent money or wave unpaid bills in my face. The phone buzzed again. Another flood of messages. I scrolled slowly, almost ceremonially, as if reading prayers to a God they Set never believed in until now. "Mom. Mortgage overdue. Bank called. Maddie. Answer. We can fix this. Brother, don't be petty. Send the money back. You know we need it. Cousin. I can't get groceries. My landlord's threatening me. Don't do this. Sister, you're really going to let the kids starve? Heartless. That last word, heartless, slid under my skin like glass. 4 years they'd fed on my kindness, labeled it duty, laughed at my obedience. Now that the feeding was over, I was suddenly heartless. I typed one steady, cold sentence. You thought leaving me stranded was funny. Now you can live stranded too. I hit send. The 3 dots appeared instantly. Typing, erasing, typing again. Their panic was visible even through the screen. I powered the phone off, tossed it onto the bed, and lay back, staring at the ceiling. The hum of the old air conditioner sounded like applause, steady and sure. For the first time, I wasn't their safety net. I was the knife that cut them free to fall on their own. I closed my eyes, imagining them in their kitchen. Mom pacing, brother swearing, cousin dialing useless numbers, sister clutching her children with crocodile tears. They had built their comfort on my sacrifices. Tonight I had taken every piece of it back. And in the silence that followed, something new bloomed inside me. Not guilt, not anger, but something sharper: control. Morning light crept through the thin hotel curtains, painting the room pale. When I turned my phone back on, it erupted with missed calls and voicemails, desperation bottled into digital form. I scrolled, not to answer, but to witness. Mom Sep's voice, weary and shaky. Maddie, please. We didn't mean it like that. It was just a joke. You know we love you. Call me sweetheart. My brother Sep's tone, harsher, bitter. So what? You stir punishing us now? You think you stir better than us just because you stir got money? Don't stir forget where you came from. My sister's voice cracked through the phone, tears audible. The kids are crying. They don't understand why there's no food. How can you do this to family? Every word was designed to trigger guilt, the same guilt that had bound me to their debts for years. But guilt only works when love is mutual. What they gave me wasn't love. It was mockery disguised as family. I opened a new message thread, my fingers steady. Family doesn't strand one of their own at a train station for fun. Family doesn't laugh at someone's pain. Don't use that word with me again. I hit send, placed the phone aside, and let silence swallow their attempts to manipulate me. The hotel walls hummed with the sound of pipes. Outside, the city moved on. Horns chatter. Life continuing without them. I thought of the years I'd worked double shifts, so my brother could get back on his feet, only for him to spend on weekends. Of covering Mom's late fees while she bought new clothes for parties. Of countless apologies I'd offered for daring to ask for respect. Now their apologies landed at my feet, fragile and empty, and for the first time I felt no urge to pick them up. I whispered into the stillness, if they want forgiveness, let them earn it, the way I earned every dollar they wasted. By evening, the tone of their messages changed. No more half-hearted apologies or crocodile tears. Panic was spilling through every notification. Brother, the bank froze the account. Missed payments. Maddie, come on. You can't just walk away from us. Mom, they're threatening foreclosure. Please, please talk to me. I swear we'll make it up to you. Sister, the kids are hungry. If you don't help, you'll regret it forever. Regret. The word felt strange on my tongue. For years, regret had been mine. Regretting every yes. Regretting being too soft. Regretting trusting them again. Tonight, regret was theirs to hold. I sat at the hotel desk, the dim lamp buzzing, and began typing slowly, each word deliberate. I didn't walk away. You pushed me. Every laugh at my expense. Every prank at my dignity. Every demand without thanks. This is the bill you never thought would come due. Now you're paying it. I hit send. The 3 dots blinked on my screen. Typing, pausing, deleting. Finally, Mom replied, you don't mean this. You stir just upset. I answered with one final message. No, Mom. I'm finally calm, and that's what scares you. I powered off my phone, leaving their panic trapped inside unanswered bubbles of text. The silence was almost sacred, a sound I'd waited my whole life to hear. Leaning back in the chair, I let the hum of the city seep in, the distant sirens, muffled music from a nearby bar, the steady rhythm of my own heartbeat. For the first time, I wasn't their safety net, their wallet, or their punchline. I was simply Madison, and that was enough. As I turned off the lamp, darkness filled the room, but it didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt like freedom. Tomorrow, they would wake up to a reality built without me, and I would wake up to myself. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the thin curtains, golden and unrelenting, as if daring me to step into a new life. My phone lay silent on the nightstand, not because they'd stopped calling, but because I hadn't turned it back on. Their voices, their chaos, no longer had permission to enter my space. I walked to a small cafe beside the hotel. The aroma of fresh coffee, the clink of mugs, the murmur of strangers. It felt alive, real, untouched by family politics. For the first time, I could breathe without calculating who needed what from me. As I stirred sugar into my cup, I thought about them. Mom pacing, brother shouting, sister crying, cousin scheming. Each of them had built their lives on the assumption that I'd always be there. I had been their invisible backbone, their silent provider. Now, without me, they would have to stand or fall on their own. But here's the truth. I didn't want them ruined. I didn't want them homeless or starving. My goal wasn't destruction. It was revelation. They had mistaken my silence for weakness. Now that same silence had become the loudest lesson of their lives. I finished my coffee slowly, savoring its warmth. In my bag was a folder of job listings for a new city. A new start. One where my name wasn't tied to anyone else's debt. One where I could laugh without it being stolen. As I stepped out onto the street, the air felt crisp, the world wide open. The train that had once left me stranded was long gone, but it had carried away more than passengers. It had taken the last pieces of who I was to them. What it left behind was someone unrecognizable, strong, untethered, whole. I whispered into the morning breeze, words meant only for myself. They thought they stranded me, but I was the one who finally left them behind.